Okay, so have you ever gotten one of those brand new journals? You know the feeling, right? The one with the fancy cover,
Yeah.
and you've got that special pen all ready to go, and then bam, blank page. Just staring back at you. It's like, now what?
It can be so intimidating. Like, where do I even start?
Exactly. But what if there was a way to kind of, I don't know, skip that whole blank page panic? Like, what if someone just gave you the starting point?
Well, that's what's so cool about using prompts, right? And this whole deep dive we're doing today based on that Lestallion blog post you sent, that's what it's all about, those 50 different journal prompts. It's like they're giving you a cheat code for your brain.
50 prompts, though. Okay, I'm getting a little overwhelmed just thinking about it.
Oh, yeah, I hear that. But that's the other thing I love about this blog post. They're not just throwing 50 random prompts at you. They're all grouped by these different themes.
Oh, right. I noticed that. It's like, what kind of inner work am I up for today? Gratitude, goal setting. They've got it all, don't they?
Yeah.
Huh.
So if you're feeling stuck, you can be like, all right, let's tackle those goals and aspirations prompts. Or if you just need a little mood boost, you head straight for that gratitude and positivity section.
Makes total sense. Although some of those themes like mindfulness and presence, I'll be honest, that sounds a little too zen for me. Like, especially on a busy morning. How do you even translate that into journaling?
Well, it's all about bringing that sense of mindfulness,
Mm.
like really being present in the moment and actually applying it to your everyday life. Think about those things you do without even realizing it, or those little stressors you just kind of push aside. This theme, with its prompts, it really makes you examine them, maybe even write down how those things make you feel physically.
So instead of like letting that morning anxiety just eat away at you, you're saying you actually write about it, get it all out on paper.
Exactly. And you might even figure out where that anxiety is coming from in the first place.
Okay, that's actually kind of brilliant. Now I'm curious to see what kind of prompts they have for that.
Oh, there's one that really stood out to me. It's in the self-reflection category. What is one fear you want to overcome?
Ooh, okay. Now that's getting real. And it's not just about, like, identifying the fear, right? Which, let's be honest, can be scary enough on its own.
Totally. But the prompt, it doesn't stop there. It takes it a step further.
Because then it asks you how facing that fear would actually make your life better. Like, what would actually change?
And then it goes even further than that.
Wait, there's more.
It asks you what tiny little step you can take today to start facing that fear.
Right.
Right now, it's like, talk about actionable advice.
It's like they snuck a mini action plan into a journal prompt. No wonder you love this blog post so much.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It really highlights how powerful self-awareness can be.
Mhm.
But it goes beyond just thinking about yourself. It's about making a change, taking action.
Which honestly can feel a lot less overwhelming when you break it down into these small, manageable steps.
Exactly. And judging by all the themes in this blog post, they've pretty much covered every area of life you can think of. Whether you're all about crushing those big goals or maybe you're more into tapping into your creative side, there's something for everyone here. I mean, they've got goals and aspirations, creativity and exploration. It's pretty impressive, really.
So basically, with 50 prompts to choose from, you're bound to find at least a few that speak to you.
Totally. And that's what's so great about it. You can find what works for you. One week you might be all about gratitude. The next week it's all goals, all the time. It's about making it fit your life, not the other way around.
Which is such a relief. Because who needs more pressure to do things perfectly? Not me.
Mhm.
You know what else I love about this whole prompt idea? You don't have to just stick to one per day, do you?
Oh, absolutely not.
Like some days I could totally see myself bouncing between a creativity prompt and then like a mindfulness one, just to see how they work together, you know?
I love that. And I think that's the beauty of journaling, right? It's all about experimenting and finding what works for you. There's no right or wrong way to do it, and this blog post really highlights that.
So it's less about like these long, drawn-out journaling sessions and more about finding those little pockets of intention throughout your day.
You got it. And what's really cool is that Lestallion even includes these short and sweet prompts that only take a few minutes.
Really? Like what?
Well, one of them is list 5 things that make you smile. Super simple, right?
I mean, yeah, it sounds simple, but can something that small actually make a difference?
Absolutely. It's amazing how much power a little shift in perspective can have.
Yeah.
Taking even just a few minutes to focus on the positive, especially first thing in the morning, it can totally change your whole outlook.
And honestly, who couldn't use a little more positivity in their life, especially these days? Plus, it's something you can easily fit into even the busiest of mornings, right?
Exactly. It's not about adding another thing to your to-do list. It's about being intentional with the time you have. And those little moments of joy, those are important too.
It's not about cramming more into your day. It's more like finding those little moments, to slow down and just be a little more intentional.
Yeah, totally. And you know what else I love about this blog post? Besides the prompts, I mean,
What's that?
the quotes,
Ah.
they just add such a nice touch, don't you think? It's like having a little pep talk from, like, a wise friend sprinkled in throughout.
Okay, yes. It's like having your own personal cheerleader. And speaking of which, there's that one quote, I think it's from Buddha, it really stuck with me.
Which one?
It's the one that says, every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Right. Talk about powerful.
It's so true, though.
Yeah,
It's easy to get caught up in, like, yesterday's problems or, whatever you're worried about.
totally.
But that quote, it's like a good reminder that you have a choice.
Yeah.
You get to start fresh every single day.
And it's not just a nice thought, with these prompts, it's like you actually have a way to do that instead of, rolling over and hitting that snooze button 5 times.
Or immediately checking your email the second you open your eyes.
Don't even get me started.
So yeah, these prompts, they give you something better to do with those first few minutes of your day.
Yeah.
Something that's actually meaningful to you.
And that can make all the difference.
Totally.
You know what else I'm realizing?
What's that?
It's not just about what you're writing about. There's something about the actual act of writing with a pen and paper,
Oh, 100%.
It just feels different than typing on my laptop or my phone.
It's way more intentional, I think.
Yes, that's the word. It's like when I write something down by hand,
Yeah.
it just feels more real somehow.
It makes you slow down. You can't
I
just
get-
like fly through it.
And you're not going to get distracted by like a news notification or a text message in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which honestly can be a huge problem when you're trying to be mindful and present and all of a sudden you're like 10 tabs deep into something you saw on Twitter.
Been there. So, okay then, with all this talk about intentionality and mindfulness, does it matter what kind of journal you use?
Well, that's a good question.
Because this blog post, it shows all these gorgeous journals, leather covers, thick paper,
Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
But is that part of it? Like, do you need a fancy journal to get the full effect? Or could I just use like an old spiral notebook I have lying around?
Yeah.
Good question.
And is there like a certain journaling personality that goes with each type of journal? Okay, things are getting a little too meta now.
No, you're just messing with me.
Maybe it's like when people say the best camera is the one you have with you.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like a fancy camera doesn't automatically make you a good photographer, right?
Exactly. So maybe it's the same with journaling. Like the journal itself isn't going to magically make you more insightful or whatever.
It's more about what you do with it, right?
Right. So a plain notebook, even just some scrap paper, as long as you're actually using it to get those thoughts out, that's what matters.
Yeah, in the end, it comes down to whatever helps you show up consistently, right? If a gorgeous journal inspires you to make it part of your routine.
Then go for it.
Exactly. But if it feels like, I don't know, too precious or intimidating.
Or like you're afraid to even write in it because you might mess it up.
Exactly. Then maybe start simple. Find what works for you. And you know what? Just thinking about that whole what kind of journal do I use question, that can actually be really insightful in itself.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. Do you go for the structured, fancy journal? Or are you more of a grab whatever's handy kind of person?
Because that actually says something about you.
Maybe. Like, are you someone who thrives on routine and organization? Or do you prefer to keep things open-ended and flexible?
Okay, wow. So our journaling style, it's like this hidden clue to how we approach, everything.
It's possible. And, the beauty of it all is that there's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly. And hey, if you change your mind down the road, no problem.
Exactly. You can always switch things up. And really, that's kind of the whole point of this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're not giving you a rule book for journaling. We're giving you permission to experiment.
Yes. Find what works for you.
And who knows, you might even discover a side of yourself you never knew was there.
So instead of hitting that snooze button tomorrow morning,
Maybe you grab a notebook
any notebook,
and see where those prompts take you.
you just never know what you might discover. Until next time, happy journaling, everyone.